Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we have a good show for you this week. It's the Middle Finger Show that we're going to be talking about this week, as Ryan Kesler, had a little post-game interview recently this week where he talked about, addressing his haters and whatnot. So, anyways, welcome back, Eddie. The Ducks were going on a roll there. They were 3-0-1. They went 2-1 in this last week. Kind of what we thought. They won 2 and lost 1. What do you think about the team so far before we get into all these games?
I still like what I see. They're still doing a good job, minus that one game which we'll talk about later. I'll give the middle finger to that one. On a personal note, too, I think the middle finger is one of my favorite fingers possible, and I think I use it quite frequently, and I'm good at it, so I want to throw it out there. But I like what the Ducks are doing and how they're trending. Yeah, minus that one game, we still have the good record. We still have the points. We still have people producing. We still have, Comtois is still throwing up points up there, and we got Kesler back, and he's producing. So, I mean, that's all positive for the Ducks.
Yeah, absolutely. The Ducks had 3 games this last week. They played Dallas, they played St. Louis, and they played the New York Islanders. We'll talk about those games. We'll talk about some roster moves. Nick Ritchie is back, which I know most of you were not happy about that. So we'll talk about Ritchie's return. The Ducks made a trade. They also made a waiver pickup. Some weird stuff going on. And, of course, the Korea retirement game is coming up. So let's talk about this week. The Ducks had gone 3-0-1. They had gone into the weekend with back-to-back games. They first played Dallas, and then they had St. Louis. They started off this game against Dallas pretty good, Eddie. Jakob Silverberg got his team leading third goal in here. Keith Sherwood got a goal. They opened the second period with Uncle Rico getting a goal. Everything looked good. The Ducks were up, 3-0, about 25, 30 minutes into this game. And then in the second period, Dallas goes nuts. They score 4 goals in a row, 3 in less than 5 minutes. And, they end up building a 4-3 lead. Ducks try to come back in the third period and they lose. But, I mean, this is kind of a crazy game, Eddie. The Ducks, like we said, they started out building that 3-0 lead, and then they were outshot 30-4 in the second period. What did you think about this game?
The Ducks shot themselves in the foot. If you want to come out there and play, a 25-minute, 30-minute, hockey game, obviously it's not going to go your way. I think complacency got, in their heads. Well, I always say that, and that's a big factor for a lot of teams and stuff, and a lot of players, and not just hockey, but players in general for every sport. I mean, they had that Silverberg. They're up 2-0. Bam. The second period comes. Rico gets one 3-0. It seems like an easy cruise for the Ducks. But Dallas showed resiliency, and they didn't give up, and they kept coming up and firing. I mean, not only did they win the majority of the faceoffs, which is really important, especially in games, but man, they outshot the Ducks 30-4 in the second period alone. That is nuts. A total of 51 shots that game. I guess that 51 shots Dallas Stars put against the Ducks, it was a trending thing with the whole National Hockey League. The Avalanche had about 40-something shots faced on them. I think the Blackhawks threw another 50 shots or had 50 shots against them. It was just like national take every shot you can at the other team's goalie day. I'm telling you from me playing just beer league goalie, I can't stand it when my team lets me out hung to dry, and that's exactly what they did in the second period. They just let Gibson get burnt out. They let him get fatigued, and they weren't really support. I mean, this game should have been a Ducks win coming in 3-0. They should have just kept playing the same tempo they did in the first period and rolled with it, but they didn't. And obviously it came back and, bit them in the tails.
What did you think in the second period when, Dallas started making their comeback and whatnot, and the Ducks, they were up 3-0, then it was 3-1, 3-2. Do you think at some point maybe Randy Carlisle should have taken a timeout, maybe when it was 3-2 or 3-3. Like, he didn't do anything really, in my mind, to try to slow down the momentum of Dallas in this game. I mean, do you give any criticism to him for that, or do you think he wanted the Ducks to play through it, or what do you think?
I think he should have called a timeout, changed the momentum, stopped Dallas because once they scored that first goal, they started building momentum. Especially when they tied the game. When they tie the game, especially being up 3-1, a timeout should have been called, and you should have been saying every expletive to the Ducks players that you can possibly say to get their heads back in the game. And to break Dallas's momentum, to calm their fans down a little bit. That timeout's called. All the fans were done cheering, but no, you just dropped the puck. The fans are still going crazy. The players are all, their adrenaline's 100%. The Ducks, no momentum at all, standing around just watching Dallas take shots in their goalie, taking liberties at their goalie, by the way, too. There's a few instances where they were, up in Gibson's face, touching him. It's same when Miller came back in the third, they were doing the same thing. And that goes to show, the Ducks were just kind of complacent and lazy that game. And it's up to Carlisle, too, to set that tone and set that pace for them. Something should have been done, even pull Gibson. It wasn't his fault, but hey, you know what? It shows the team. Look, you let your goalie down. Now we're pulling him, and it's all on you guys, not the goalie at all. Gibson played amazing, but it's your guys that this is happening. And maybe that would have lit something under their feet, and they probably could have came back and won this game. But Carlisle just not really doing anything. He questions it. So
In that second period too, there were some iffy calls. There were some, or maybe iffy non-calls. They didn't call some things against Dallas as they ran into Gibson and whatnot, and it seemed to boil over. We saw Gibson get irritated. Towards the end of the period, he did actually get pulled, and they brought in Ryan Miller in the third period. Did you think that maybe the refs kind of let this game get out of control in the second period, or what do you think? You think it was more the Ducks, or do you think it was the refs, or both?
I think it's 100% the Ducks' poor play. I mean, yeah, you can blame the refs for that one goal or that one missed call, but having them get back into this game and ultimately winning, that's 100% the Ducks' fault. It's just and one of the plays too, and I think Gibson, I think it was Ben he hit. Ben was in front of the net, and Gibson went out of his way, and he was frustrated, and he started taking liberties toward the Dallas players. And I'm sure the play that he did that was protecting his teammate, but I'm sure he was frustrated because he's been getting hit throughout the game and stuff, and no one came to his protection. The Ducks are lacking that grit player, that player that's willing to get in your face and, hey, if you touch my goalie, you got to pay for it. The Ducks don't really have that. I mean, they have, Comtois was, he's top of there with hits and stuff like that. He shouldn't be fighting because he's scoring at a good rate. But, I mean, just something has to be done when you're touching your goalie. And it's just, I say this is 100% the Ducks' fault, and there's no one else to blame but themselves.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, this was the Ducks' first regulation loss. Remember, they were 3-0-1, so they went to 3-1-1. And then they had to turn around the next night and play in St. Louis. Ryan Miller went in net. And the Ducks, in this game, it was kind of interesting because they got behind and they found themselves in a similar position. I mean, they scored early, Silverberg with another goal, and St. Louis got a couple goals and they had the lead. The Ducks were able to come back in the third period. They were only down one goal in the game against Dallas. Then they were down only one goal in this game against St. Louis. They were able to pull it out and win this one. It was kind of an interesting game, though. Both teams scored on the power play. The Ducks really got destroyed in the faceoff circle. I mean, they lost. I mean, this is crazy. St. Louis won 65%, and the Ducks only won 35%. So it's kind of crazy to see, how they did so poorly here. But they ended up pulling this one out, Eddie. And I mean, I guess it's good. They rebounded after losing, to the Stars. But what did you think of this game against the Blues?
I was worried when they first, after that devastating loss, I was worried about this game. Back to backs, you're gonna go, going with Miller, and the same outcome. We have the first period, Silverberg scores, we're up. Second period comes, boom, two quick goals by St. Louis, and we're like, okay, it's gonna happen again. Luckily, Street and Cogliano came in there and and won the game for us. but I think we should have played a little bit better too. I mean, I still wasn't too sold on this game as well. I mean, yeah, they did get the win, and what they did, they blocked 18 shots too, which was better, stopping more traffic from their goalie. But one thing I noticed that Tarasenko's name wasn't in the goal scoring. They shut him down, which was really important because that guy is an elite player, and if you give him opportunity, then he's going to score. So I'm glad they did that, and I'm glad that they showed resiliency and they can come back. That loss and stuff. I'm sure everyone's head was down still. They were still thinking about it, but I'm sure they can. Like, I'm happy they can come down or back and bounce back from that loss from Dallas. So I was pretty happy with the win, but their play style, and like you said too, 65%, compared to 34%, that is insane, and something needs to be done right there. I mean, we probably could have scored more in our zone or did something differently, but it's just it is what it is. I'm just glad we got out with the win. So
Yeah, exactly like you said. The Ducks did slow down Tarasenko. He only had one assist in the game, so that was good on the Ducks' part. And they were able to score on the power play, which is good. They actually were even in the shots, which we're not really used to that. It seems like the Ducks are getting outshot all the time. But the Ducks pulled this one out. They were able to rally. They weren't able to come back in the Dallas game, but they were able to come back in this game. Unfortunately, the bad part of it is Jakob Silfverberg got hurt. He's leading the team at this point in goals. So he was out. We saw all kinds of roster moves throughout the week. We saw Blandisi come up and go down and back up. We saw Chase DeLeo come up and back down as well. So the Ducks, after this back-to-back scenario, then they had a game against the Islanders, which was probably the best game of the week if you want to look at all three of them. The Ducks ended up winning this one 4-1. They scored on the power play. The Islanders were not able to score on the power play. The faceoffs were about even. But in this game, this is the one where basically Ryan Kesler went nuts. He scored in the first period on the power play, just 6 seconds to go in that period. And then he scored again in the second period. He almost scored twice on the same play. He basically shot the puck in so hard it came back out, and he shot it back in again. He had chances to get some hat tricks in this game, which he didn't. But then Uncle Rico struck in there again at the beginning of the third period. The Islanders did come back and get a goal, but then Lindholm got an empty net goal and the Ducks won. So I like this game. I thought this was a pretty good game overall. If we're looking at the three games, I don't think it was a complete game, Eddie, but I think this was the best one for the week.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was fun. I was actually at this game too. The environment was fun. We finally got the Ducks' first fight of the season, and that's really, man, we're how many games in? And no one really dropped the gloves when there's been plenty of opportunities to drop the gloves. Comtois, unfortunately, the outcome wasn't good for him, but congratulations with the fight. I'm glad that, he has that mentality to stick up for his teammates and show and prove that he's NHL ready and there's no reason to send him down. He got an assist that game too, so we were all hoping for that Gordie Howe hat trick of scoring a goal. But the big story, the Ducks won and everything. The big story was Kesler. Kesler came to play. Kesler proved himself. Kesler. I can say that 1,000 times and it won't get old. Mike, I want to put thumbs up for him, but, in honor of Kesler, I'll put both middle fingers up for him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a big part of the game. He scored a couple goals in there. And then he was asked by the media after the game, and he was talking about it being, quote, the big middle finger to the people that doubted his return after hip surgery. He was also asked about proving his doubters wrong, and he said, quote, "I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world." So, I mean, he was pretty fired up after this game, and I think that's why a lot of us like Ryan Kesler. I mean, he's a motivated guy, and he doesn't take, crap from anybody. So, I mean, that was pretty ballsy by him to see him, go out there, play his game, get a couple goals. Had a chance to get a third goal in this game. He didn't do it, but I mean, he really played well in this game. He looked really true to form, Eddie, and he was winning faceoffs left and right in this game. He only lost a couple. I mean, he, for everything that was said over the summer and what was going to happen, and Elliot Freeman's report that he might not ever come back. I mean, he's really proven everybody wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said before, our last shows, when people asked if he's really ready, are they rushing him? And I mentioned that, what, if he's ready and he's back, then Kessler's 100% ready because, his family issues and, he doesn't want to ruin that for his future, his quality of life. And, there's so many people that were doubting him, especially, that early report came out, but I think he really, proved last night that Kesler is 100% back, and he's willing to play that same old Kesler and chip in for the Ducks, getting those dirty areas. And wow, that shot too! Holy crap, that shot was so fast. I had to record it and slow it down just to actually see that puck going. That's how fast it was. Because even in slow motion, when they played it back on the jumbotron, it still was too fast for me to see. It just, man, he's back, and look for him to contribute more and score a lot more and get in those area and put those hits up too because he's really physical player. Ryan Johansson, hats off to you if you want to drop the gloves at Kesler again because I really think he's ready. And he called you out already, so I really hope you're ready. So after you turtle again, middle fingers to you.
It's going to be fun when the Ducks do play Nashville to see how that all pans out. In this game, well, what did you think the Islanders? It looked like they had maybe tied up the game. Kind of, early on, you had Barzell. He scored. He knocked the puck out of Gibson's blocker hand. And then, of course, the refs reviewed it. They called goalie interference. The Ducks go down. They get a goal. They make it 2-0. What did you think on that play, Eddie? Since you play goalie, do you think that Gibson had froze the puck enough? Or do you think the Ducks maybe got the benefit of the doubt on that call?
No, I think it was a good call. He had it frozen. That call definitely sucked the whole momentum out of the Islanders right there, and I think that was a game changer. It's one of those things where you just hope the referee can, just like baseball, tie goes to the runner. Things like that. You obviously have to give the goalie a benefit of the doubt. I had a similar play on last Sunday. I was actually listening to the Ducks game while I was in net, and I put my elbow down and froze the puck. And I'm thinking I'm getting a whistle. I have the puck completely done and covered. The guy comes last minute and he pokes it once, pokes it twice. It jams free. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then he shoots it in. Well, I had my elbow down, and I think that call should have been dead right there because I had possession. But I think the refs made a good call, and I really think that Gibson playing the way he does, and holding that and saving that was the biggest game changer of that. They came ready to play this game. They were all business. They were finally at home. So, that was a really important play, but I really think the refs got it right. Second time on this show, I'm agreeing with the refs. No bias at all.
I know, and it's kind of surprising. Usually the calls go against the Ducks a lot of times, so that one actually went in their favor. And then, like we said, Kesler coming down and scoring, it seemed like the Ducks got, the momentum in their favor that way, and they carried it on in this game. So, the Ducks playing well, not maybe perfect, but they're, 5-1-1. You can't really complain about how they're doing. We still had Getzlaf's not playing. Eves is not playing. We have Kesler back. And, the other news this week, which a lot of you really did not like, is Nick Ritchie is back. He joined the team this week. He signed a 3-year deal worth $4.6 million, $1.2 million this season, $1.4 next season, and $2 million in the final year. And a lot of people were not happy. There was a lot of hate on social media when that announcement came out about Nick Ritchie. I think the funniest comment I saw, Eddie, on there was send him down to San Diego. After, the Ducks got some players that were, reassigned, they were sending Blandisi and DeLeo up and down. And then they said, send Ritchie down. And really just a lot of people not too happy about Nick Ritchie coming back. What did you think as far as, A, him coming back, and then B, the amount for his contract?
I was kind of, I was meh. I know DucksNPucks a little a fan question about if they're possibly excited to get Nick Ritchie back, and I'll probably agree with the 44% that said meh. I'm like whatever with that. I'm glad that the contract amount in dollars is what it is because I think that's what he's worth. and anything less or over 2 million would have been like, having me question, like, okay, what's going on? But I mean, I think it's a fair deal, and it's a kind of a bridge contract. He can come in, he can prove himself, and he supposedly he lost quite a bit of weight too, and he's been training in Toronto all off season, and his game, his conditioning is up there. So hopefully that translates into something. And at this point, so I'll probably go a little bit above and say I'm a little bit happy. He delivered 221 hits last season, had over 120 shots on goal. So he's going to bring that physicality back to the Ducks. And I think that's what they're lacking right now. That big physical front net presence, that person that's going to throw his body around and bang their players, because that really wears on players too, and that wears on teams, knowing that Nick Ritchie's going to be in the lineup. You have that body bruiser. So I really hope that he takes his contract and everything that happened with the holdout, and it really motivates him to be that, and produce that top 10 player or top 10 draft pick that he's supposed to. And his conditioning, I just hope he takes that in stride, especially with these young guns too, because these young guns are breathing down his neck to take his job and take his position. But overall, it's okay. The contract not bad. The terms not bad. If he doesn't pan out, that's possible. Expose him to Seattle if they get their expansion draft, or we can come trade deadline. I'm pretty sure a team would take a gamble on Richie and trade for him. So overall, just I wish him all the best. What's more important is that big logo he has in the front of his sweater than that name on the back. I hope he can contribute and help the Ducks get that success. And of course, throw the body around and drop the gloves a little bit, because I love seeing that in hockey.
Yeah, I think with Richie, I don't know. I mean, you look at this amount and whatnot, and the term. I honestly think his agent did a terrible job. That's where I'm at. Either that or Richie was really stubborn. I think this deal could have been worked out in the summer. Honestly, I mean, we talked about this before. Like you said, we thought that he is not worth more than $2 million. His contract is about 1.5, 1.6, averaged out. I don't know. I just think his agent could have got this deal several months ago. That's the way I look at it. I just think it wasn't. I don't know. I don't know if it's, like I said, Richie being stubborn, his agent maybe trying to ask for too much, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, everyone's talking now. I've seen a lot of people commenting on, who's going to go down in the Ducks lineup, who's going to get sent to San Diego now that Richie's in the picture. And, we talk about a lot of these young guys and who's going to go down. It was kind of funny. I saw a lot of people, Eddie, saying that Max Comtois was going to go down. I was kind of surprised by that because, yeah, his puck possession numbers aren't the best, but you've got to look. He's got a point in every single game except for one. Yeah, he got in his first fight. It wasn't the greatest, but he's also in top 5 in hits. I don't think that's the guy that goes down, honestly. I mean, if you look at this team, I think some of the other guys might go down. Obviously, Lundstrom being one of them that could go down. I just don't see him getting sent down. Maybe Kiefer Sherwood goes down, maybe Troy Terry goes down, or Sam Steele. But it's kind of interesting now that Richie's in the mix. It's kind of making people wonder, who goes down, who goes up. I think still, though, looking at everybody, I think Comtois still stays up. I mean, I know he's on his entry-level contract. You don't want to get to that 10-game mark and it gets burnt. But what do you think with Richie and now? I mean, do you think Comtois goes down? Do you think someone else goes down? What's your take how the roster might get changed?
If Comtois goes down, that's a really big mistake for the Ducks. I think just as fans and anyone around the league can see that he proved and he's ready to play in the NHL, and sending him down to San Diego or sending him down to juniors isn't really going to benefit him. I mean, it might mess with his morale a little bit, but I mean, I think he earned his spot. He all around the physical game, the offensive game. He clicks with Henrique. It just I think he deserves to stay, and he there's no benefit of sending him down. And I think he'll develop better staying up. I haven't been impressed with Troy Terry so far. I loved him playing in college over there in Denver, and loved him in camp. But that success hasn't really translated, as of yet. and I can see him being a top 6 player someday. So I think he might be the one that gets sent down. Lundstrom, I can see him getting sent down too. He's our first draft pick this year. So I can see that, and then we have Ben Street. That's going to be a tough one because we have Sam Steele, which is like pretty much a fan favorite and a Ducks favorite. So but he hasn't really produced offensively, and he hasn't been able to really keep up. But he always seems like at least like a step behind, in my opinion, just watching him play. It's going to be interesting though to see what they do as far as with Nick Ritchie, and then when Cosse and Getzoff and everyone else comes back as well.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the points too amongst those, rookies, I mean, Max Comtois got 2 goals and 4 assists, and of the other newer players, nobody's really that close. I mean, Sherwood's got a goal and an assist. Steele's got 2 assists. Lundstrom's got 1 assist. Troy Terry's got 0 points. So, I mean, you're looking at some of these other players. I mean, in my opinion, you keep Comtois up. He's been physical. He's been scoring. He's been playing well. Yeah, his fight was kind of whatever. We get it. But, I mean, the fact that he was willing to do it, and yeah, his puck possession numbers aren't great. I get it. You go in there and look at those stats as well. But, looking at all the younger guys, that's the guy I would keep up. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, Troy Terry, yeah, he had that shootout game winning goal, but I mean, as far as regulation goes, he hasn't really done anything. Honestly, he hasn't impressed me that much. Lundstrom hasn't impressed me that much. I do like Sherwood. Sherwood looks good. Steele has been, he's only got 2 assists, but he's looked a little bit, good out there as well. So those are some of the guys I look to keep. But I think you keep Comtois up there, and we've got one of the fans asked that question. They said we had Edwin. He asked about Troy Terry. Do the Ducks keep him up or down? And honestly, I would send Troy Terry down. That's where I'm at right now. I mean, if you had to pick somebody, I would also send Lundstrom down too. I'd send Lundstrom down first, but as far as Troy Terry goes, when Cosse, Eves, and Getzlaf come back, I would think those would be the 2 that I would send down first, Eddie.
Same here. I'm 100% agree, and nothing against them at all. They're fantastic players, and they're going to be, those big players, come future. But I mean, at right now, like Trey Terry has the hands and he has that shot. It's amazing, especially in the shootout. If you give him like a one-on-one alone time, yeah, he's probably going to score 9 times out of 10. But I think both of them need more experience and more playing time and more responsibility, which they'll get if they get sent down. Right now, especially when everyone comes back, they're going to be in the bottom row, and and they're still young and they're still new, so you can't expect them to play top line minutes, to be in that first line center, and for the pressure they're playing against the other team's best defensemen, best players. So I mean, it wouldn't be fair to throw them in there and start like, oh well, he's not producing, he sucks, blah blah. No, it's not the case. It just you have to give him that time to mature into the game and to ease into it and really develop, find his style. And I think getting sent down, it's not really a demotion. You're still playing some competitive hockey, but you can just learn and you can really find your game and develop your style of play. And then once you're ready to get called up, I mean, then you can show your magic. Look at Bobby Ryan, how many times he was sent down and up, back when he played. Yeah, I mean, when he came up, he was good. He was scoring. Unfortunately, they kept sending him down. I mean, I was still in question at that point, but his game got better when they brought him up, and every time they brought him up, he was that much better. When during his prime days with the Ducks. So I mean, it's not really a bad thing, but yeah, I totally agree with you with Terry and Lindstrom probably be the first ones to be sent down. I probably would have said Ben Street because he's not the most like the popular name, but just the way him playing and him chipping in offensively, and he really has a groove and he really found his stride right now with the Ducks. And that veteran slash rookie presence, I guess, but he's been a few teams and he's really like willing to stick around and he doesn't want to be sent down. He wants to prove himself. So, I can't see him going.
Well, it's kind of interesting. So we look at this Ducks team and they're 5-1-1. some people are super happy with the team. They're super, motivated, positive. You look at the injuries, you look at the young guys, they look at where they're at and how they're doing. Then you've got other people that are more kind of cautious, like, well, we've been playing some teams with, crappy records. Even Dallas, they blew us out in the second period. And that kind of leads us to another fan question. We had Laura ask, can we sustain this? We're winning while being outshot and letting Gibson get peppered by 30 plus shots every game. We're not doing as great of a job offensively, and we're relying basically on the defense and Gibson for the most part. So can we sustain it? I would say hell no. There's no way you can sustain it. You saw Gibson get basically burnt out in that game against Dallas, and they had to pull him out, which was the right move. They should have pulled him out and not have played him in the third period, not because he wasn't playing well, but just because of the way Dallas was overwhelming him. And like we talked about, Randy Carlisle should have called a timeout at some point during that onslaught, which he didn't, which I thought was poor on his part. And so I don't think the Ducks can sustain this. I think that they do need to get the offense going, and they do need to get the forecheck going. We've seen this almost every game. They're getting outshot. Not only are they getting outshot, like Laura points out, they're giving up 30-plus shots a game. You play goalie. At some point, you get a little worn out. And if you don't get worn out physically, you probably get, worn out mentally as well, because if your team's not playing in front of you, I don't care if you're Pecorine, whoever you want to pick, in goal that's playing, you just can't take, so many shots and then expect to stop every single thing if the team isn't going down the other way and sustaining some kind of forecheck, Eddie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially that game against Dallas. I think it was Carrick that scored. One of those Dallas players that scored. I don't remember, but the Ducks team was just watching him. Like, hey, we're all gonna just not play positions and not play defense, and f up everything and just watch this guy score. Like, come on, guys. Your goalie's facing 30 shots in the second period. 30. That's insane. Oh man, I felt for Gibson, and I'm pretty sure he was frustrated, and I'm not sure how he's in the locker room, how vocal he is, but if that were me, I would have been throwing things I can't even say right now on the show toward my team. It's just I just play beer league, I just play for fun, but still, it still gets frustrating because I'm a person, I like to win. No one that plays sports wants to go like, hey, I'm just gonna play sports today and lose. No, like no one has that mentality. So that was just frustrating. The Ducks really need to learn how to play a 60-minute game. If they're not going to play a 60-minute game, then obviously they're not going to have success. And it doesn't matter if you play the Washington Capitals, the Stanley Cup champion team, or if you play, a team like, Arizona or, one of those lower teams like that. It just, you have to play a 60-minute game. Obviously, playing teams like Arizona proved that if you don't play 60 minutes, that's going to come back and bite you in the butt. So you should come to every game and play that mentality and tenacity. Every second that clock is ticking, you should be giving it 110%. And if you're not willing to do it, then obviously you're not going to have success this season or in the come playoffs.
Yeah, and that second period against Dallas was probably one of the worst periods I can remember. We had a couple seasons, if you remember, where the second period was the one that did the Ducks in. So, that one, it was just, I couldn't believe it. And like I said, Carlisle not calling a timeout, that was crazy to me. I was really irritated in that second period, and I felt for Gibson because of all the stuff that, some of it was the refs were letting things go, but the team did not sustain a forecheck. And, Carlisle doesn't decide to take a timeout to try and cool things off, and nothing really changed. And I just felt that it got out of control. The Ducks were still only down by one going into the third period, and they, had a chance. But, yeah, good God. What was going on there? So, they can't keep doing this stuff. They are winning games. We can't complain. They've gotten points in 6 out of 7 games, but you can't do this forever. So, it's kind of interesting too. So you're thinking, maybe the Ducks are going to do something. How are they going to change some things? Some players are hurt. They're recalling people. They're bringing people up. And the Ducks actually did make some moves this week, Eddie, which were kind of weird. So they went out and picked up Jake Dotchin from Tampa Bay. He was on waivers. They picked him up, and then they ended up sending him to San Diego. they traded Mitch Holtz to Tampa Bay. I don't know what the heck's going on with all this stuff, but our writer Phil, he does a lot of the Tampa Bay stuff. This is what he kind of had to say about Dotson. It's not really good. He said, that quote, he hasn't put in work to prove that he belongs in the league. He is a professional athlete, and he needs to, conduct himself in that way. And that he's willing to be physical, but he's not sold on his willingness to give it his all. So I'm not really sure why they picked him up, Eddie. I mean, the Ducks have plenty of defensemen. It looks like Holzer's going to be coming back soon. It's kind of a curious move. I mean, we even have him that, Phil, that covers Tampa Bay, and he's saying that this is kind of a weird move. So I don't know what they're doing with this. Mitch Holtz was doing good in San Diego. I'm not really sure how this improves the team or fixes the team, but those are the moves that the Ducks made this week, Eddie.
Yeah, I don't know. With the Tampa and Anaheim thing, I think there's some things more behind closed doors that we don't know about. And I'm gonna call Dotrin. You know what? I'm gonna call him. Daughtery or whatever his name is. Come on, he's a professional athlete. You're still young, trying to prove yourself. You show up to camp about 35 pounds overweight, 25%, over your player weight and stuff like that. I mean, like, come on, like, what's the deal with that? Tampa Bay terminated his contract, and then he files a grievance, against them. Then all of a sudden, the Ducks, out of nowhere, offer him a contract, sign him, and then trade, a player to Tampa Bay for future consideration, which that person passed around so many times. Like, I feel bad for that future considerations player. Poor guy, but
I'm gonna get a jersey with considerations on the back. You know what? I got my 25th anniversary jersey, and it's gonna say considerations on the back. And then,
you should put all 31 teams on there. That'd be funny. I would love to see that.
And then I'll wear that to the Korea game. Everyone's gonna go, who's considerations? And I'll go first name future. Yeah,
I'm sure you'll have people complaining, calling you a bandwagon, so you have all 31 teams on your jersey.
But yeah, I don't understand. I really don't. Like, a lot of times they do things, and I can at least have some kind of explanation, like, oh, this is a move for depth, or this is this or that. I mean, they pick him up, they send him to San Diego. I'm like, okay, the Ducks already have plenty of defensemen. Some people are like, well, maybe he's better than Shin or Schuster. Okay, how much? I mean, and if that's the case, then why is he sent to San Diego?
Yeah, I mean, he's a professional athlete, and he didn't come prepared. He has no family issues going on. There's no personal things going on with him. What it seems like, he's just flat out lazy. And I really think, like I said, there's something more to this, because the Ducks sign him. So obviously he has a contract, and he's only losing about $158,000 from signing with the Ducks, and Tampa terminating his contract. But I think, the Ducks sending a player over to Tampa Bay, and then a Ducks signing him, he's not going to follow that grievance anymore. He's still getting paid. So that grievance is, out the door. So I think that future consideration thing, whatever they did, I think, either Tampa Bay owes the Ducks something, and there's going to be something later on in the future come trade time if Tampa Bay has to swallow up a contract, which I don't know how that faces, through the ceiling. But I think there's going to be more. Are there something behind closed doors? I'm not sure if they can exchange dollar amounts or something like that, but it was just, too much of a coincidence that we sign a guy that's not going to really do anything for us, and that came to camp out of shape. And I don't think he's in shape. I don't think he's spent the time, working on his game. And then the next day we trade a player for future considerations. So I think that future considerations has a lot to do with us signing him and him countering that grievance against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is along those lines. And I think I would watch Anaheim and Tampa Bay come the trade deadline. So maybe there'll be something later on that happens, or maybe something before that. So it's got to be something of that nature. That's the only thing that makes sense. Otherwise, I mean, it doesn't. So the Ducks did this. Like we said, they send some players up and down. We know that some are still out. Roney's still out too. He got hurt. Silverberg's been out. Eves is out. Getzlaf, they're saying, is close. I mean, he had a full practice right before the Islander game. It looked like maybe he would play in that game, but he didn't. So, the Ducks are trying to get healthy and try and figure some of this stuff out. They got some, big games coming up too. Another fan question we had is, can the Ducks avoid the Vegas flu? So they're going in on Saturday. They're playing the Golden Knights. And then, of course, on Sunday is the big night. They're going to have the Korea retirement game, which, by the way, if you're going, they're telling everybody to be there at 3:15 in your seat. So they really want everybody there early. And we are still giving away tickets, too, to that game. We're going to announce it here shortly. If you go on www.patreon, patreon.com/DucksNPucks. We also had a couple more new people recently add. We had Diane, Phil, and Steven. They all added in there. And so if you want to get in on there, try and do it in the next day or whenever you hear this, because we're going to give those away. We've given away magnets for the schedule. We gave away another Ducks third jersey. We mailed that one out to a fan all the way in England, by the way, Eddie. So we've got fans.
Nice.
Yeah, we've got fans everywhere. That root for the Ducks, which is awesome. And even the person that picked up the calendar, they're in Canada. Of course, we've got fans in the U.S. and Canada, but we also have
also more bets too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know what? That brings us to a good point. You know what? If forgot about that. So on Patreon, on our website, Eddie made a bet that if we had 25 Patreons, which we're up to 28 now, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
That he would go to class in hockey gear. And Eddie, you did it this week.
Yeah, it was kind of nerve-wracking. Security, obviously, the common sense thing to do, just to let them know, especially how things are these days. And they said it was fine as long as I don't have the ice skates with my skate guards on due to liability purposes, and I couldn't bring a stick, which I curved that by bringing my mini stick to the school. I had a guy in my class come with me, helped me get dressed, recorded me. It was fun. I got a little embarrassed. I walked in. I wore an old helmet, so it was kind of small on my head. And then I walked in class, and I'm so glad I had a professor that was understanding and cool. So shout out to him. A great stats professors too. He's the first math professor I had that I'm actually learning from. So, big shout out to him. But it was a fun experience. And I know a lot of people like on Twitter and Facebook are like, saying, oh, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you went through with that. I mean, I'm a man of my word. If I say something, I'm going to do it. I don't like backing down. And I don't like being a liar. Or like, oh, he said it and he didn't do it. So, it was fun. Thank you guys for subscribing and being part of that and reaching that 25 goal mark and stuff like that. I mean, I know you guys have, a choice to listen to different podcasts and follow different pages, but I really appreciate you guys listening to us and supporting us like that. And later on in the future, I might throw another bet out to do it again. I mean, maybe not at school because that was weird. And of course it was hot and there's no AC on. So I was sweating, and all that. It was fun. It was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in a math class or in college class, up to date. So, thank you for that. I'm looking forward to doing it again. Maybe we can get Mike to do something like that. That'd be pretty funny.
Well, I know I would have to figure out something because I'm done with school. I've done too much school. You know what? I'm still paying for so many stupid degrees, and let's see where it's got me. Oh wait, I'm doing a podcast that for the Ducks unofficially. So yeah, all those degrees have really worked out for me. And yes, I'm still paying for them going back to, let's see, we're in 2018, going back to 2003. I'm still been paying on student loans. So that's freaking awesome. But no,
wow.
Seriously, we'll try to figure out something, some other bets that we'll do.
And if you have ideas
on yours. What's up?
Oh no! If fans have ideas, or Mike, if you have an idea for me, throw it out there, and I'll think about it. If I'm drinking one day, you tell me it. If I say yes, that's nullified. I have to be a 0.00 to agree to a bet. But yeah, if you guys have ideas, or Mike have an idea, then let me know, and I'll take it in consideration, and I'll put a goal out there, and let's do it. Let's have some fun. It's hockey. I mean, the greatest sport in the world. And you guys are listening to one of the best podcasts in the world, so. Why not?
Well, you know what I thought was kind of funny when you did that is it seemed like nobody in your class was really hockey fans. Everybody was just kind of sitting there like, yeah. Was anybody in? Did they like sports at all in that class? They just all seemed kind of like whatever.
Well, I go to school in Glendora. It's LA County, so it's mostly, football, baseball fans. I don't think there's a single person that likes hockey in my class. I'm talking about it. And where I live in Laverne, California. It's mainly I go places, and it's rare you see a Ducks fan. They're usually Kings fans. You see any hockey fans, but then when you try to talk to them about hockey, their response is like, "Oh, we're gonna do 2 cups, right?" So, yeah. No, my professor said that he probably watched the Ducks because of me, and I always talk about it. But yeah, mostly people didn't really, in the hallway, everyone's like looked at me like weird and stuff, and then starts laughing and things like that. But I mean, yeah, that class was, I take an early class too, so a lot of people are young in there. I'm the old man, I guess, in that class. I'm not even that old, but I mean, yeah. I mean, everyone had fun though, and I got a lot of compliments. And there's other people taking videos, more videos floating out there without my permission. But
Uh-oh, I hope they gave you credit. You never know, right?
I
Look
know,
out.
right?
That credit
Yeah,
thing's huge.
one of
Don't
the
don't everybody else out there,
yes,
don't post anything without giving credit because certain people get very, very upset. That's a big deal, unfortunately.
yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, it's common sense. You're not going to post someone's work without taking the proper credit for it. I mean, I would personally wouldn't do it. That's not the way I roll. I give credit as much as I can to give credit. Like if I can give credit to the person that invented that specific day that picture was taken, I'd do that if I can.
Yeah, but we know how some people are. But anyways, okay, so we're getting a little bit off topic. But yeah, so if there's some idea of something else you want us to do or whatever, you can sign up on the website. Like we said, we're giving away tickets to that game against Korea. We're also giving away tickets to the Niedermeyer retirement game, which that brings us to another fan question, Eddie. Lauren asks, what are your thoughts on Scotty Niedermeyer's jersey being retired? Other teams have retired his jersey. Obviously, he won several cups with the New Jersey Devils. What do you think about him having his jersey retired by the Ducks? Do you think they shouldn't do it? That it's okay, or what's your feeling?
I'm a little, I don't know. I'm kind of in that I don't know zone about that. I respect him. I love him as a player. I have his jersey hanging up in my closet. He's a one of the best defensemen in the National Hockey League when he played. Just the way he handled himself, but I mean, he wasn't with the Ducks that long. Although he did help us win the Stanley Cup, along with other players that were that were part of that team. But I don't know. I mean, he already had his jersey retired from New Jersey, which understandable. He spent the majority of his career and everything that he had was there. But I mean, no, I'm still not sure about that. I mean, another people because I watched the Avalanche a lot. People ask me about Ray Bork, and Ray Bork was an iconic person for hockey and a great hockey player, no doubt about that. But myself and a few other fans I talked to from the Avalanche disagree about his jersey being retired by the Avalanche, especially who just had that one season and helped them win the cup. Um, it's kind of I don't know. I can see it though because he's still with the Ducks organization. He does a lot. He's still there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just kind of like in that so not sure area. But I'm glad it's happening. It's great for him, to show that accomplishments what he did for us and help us get a Stanley Cup, and then his contributions right now, what he does for the Ducks now. So I'm just kind of so.
I think for me and probably for a lot of people listening out there is that, like you said, he helped the Ducks win the Stanley Cup, but he didn't play as many games with the team. Yeah, he's been there doing the coaching thing kind of, in the background and whatnot. I think the biggest issue is J.S. Shiger, Eddie. I think that's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
the concern. I think that's a lot of people were talking about it. I know when all this announcement was first made, and they were saying, well, Jaguar was the backbone in net, which is absolutely true. So I think what's difficult is I would like JS up there, and I think part of the problem is Niedermeyer not so much being up there, but maybe being up there before Jaguar. I think that's kind of the concern. I think it's tough. You got one that was the captain of the team, and the other that was in the net. So you're looking at both those. But I see, I don't know why the Ducks didn't do it, but if they would have done Jaguar this year too, I think maybe we would have been talking about this.
Yeah. That kind of I was stumbled on that too. Like He should have been up there 110. And honestly, one day Jagir's number will hang up there, and he deserves it. If anyone wants to change my mind, feel free to comment and message me. You're not going to change my mind because Jagir was our pretty much our top goalie and helped us get that Stanley Cup too. My only thought is maybe it's not his time, and he personally wasn't ready for that. I don't know if the Ducks reached out to it and they tried to get that, or if they went with Niedermeyer, or I have no idea. But it just kind of shocks me that Niedermeyer is going to be hung up there before Jagir, because it should be Timu, Korea, Jagir, and then Niedermeyer. I mean, that would be great right there. But yeah, it kind of puzzles me, and I don't know if we're ever going to get that question answered. But hopefully we do. Like what's going on with that, and hopefully with the not this season obviously, but hopefully next season, it happens, because I really think he's going to be up there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're going to have to look forward to, is maybe next season is when it happens. So that's my take on it. I'm happy that Niedermeyer's going up there. Obviously, I would like Jaguar up there. It's not going to happen this season, but hopefully next season. And of course, this coming weekend, you got the big one coming up with Korea, like we said. Subscribe on patreon.com/DucksNPucks. Even if you do just $1, that'll get you a chance to win those tickets. And we're giving away all kinds of other stuff too. We have some hockey sticks we'll be giving away on there. If you sign up for a certain amount, you get a T-shirt or a foul towel or a foul towel. So there's other things that'll be on there too. If you're so inclined, you got some spare change laying in the couch somewhere or something like that. We'll be sending you some goodies. And by the way, too, this applies to international people too. So we had Jesper from Denmark that donated, and we sent him some stuff as well. So if you donate, this isn't just for U.S. residents. We know most of our fans are here, but if you live in Canada or you live in Europe, we've got some listeners that are in Australia as well. If you sign up on there and donate, we will mail you stuff as well. You do not have to pay for shipping. We'll send it to you as long as you sign up on patreon.com. You can go on there and look at the different levels and whatnot. Like we did earlier, we gave out some shout outs to some of the people that donated. The last show, certain people donated certain amounts, so they picked some of the topics on the show. So if that's something else you're looking to, you want to take over part of the show. Also, if you have a business or you know someone that has a business and they want to advertise on our show, they're more than welcome to do that as well. So like we said, we'll be back every week around Thursday or Friday, depending on the way the schedule goes. We'll talk about the games that happen, the moves and whatnot. We'll answer your fan questions. Eddie and I will talk trash on each other, or at least maybe we'll make up some other kind of bet where we can laugh at each other too as well. So we're in it for the long haul, and let's go Ducks.